Welcome to Medical Minutes here on Time Warner Cable DMG TV2. This time around, we are at Ohio Head and Neck Surgeons in Dover, and we're talking to a head and neck surgeon, Dr. Charles Bogdan. And we're talking today about the thyroid. First, what is a thyroid?
Thyroid is an endocrine gland, and what endocrine glands are glands that make hormones. And the thyroid is probably, one of the most important endocrine glands in your body because it's responsible for making a hormone that runs your body, runs your metabolism. It's like the fuel for your body. Your thyroid is located in your neck, just below your voice box. It has two sides, a right side and a left side, and it generates a hormone that's used by all of your body processes, basically as fuel. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong with your thyroid, most of which are benign, but there are also malignant processes that can take place in the thyroid.
And when you think something's going wrong, how do you know it's your thyroid? When do you get that checked out?
Well, a lot of times it's family history. Family history plays a huge role in thyroid disorders. Most people who have thyroid problems have a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, aunt, or uncle who have also had those type of issues. So that would be at the top of the list. But other things that occur with people are you just don't feel good. Some people are heavy. They're having trouble losing weight. They're having intolerance of cold, losing their hair. Those are all signs of an underactive thyroid. An overactive thyroid can make people hyper, can give you palpitations in your heart, can make you jittery, and restless sleep, having trouble sleeping at night. Those are signs of an overactive thyroid. And sometimes people just notice a big growth in their neck, what's called a goiter, where the neck looks very full, almost like a bullfrog type look, and that's a sign of a gland that's growing sometimes out of control.
So there are so many different things that can go wrong, including cancer.
That is correct. Thyroid cancer, although not one of the more common cancers, in a practice like ours, we see it quite a bit. And whenever somebody is walking around with a dysfunctional thyroid or has a mass or a growth in the thyroid, then one of the concerns is that there can be a malignancy in there. So it really depends on risk factors, exposures that the patient has had, the feel or the texture of the nodule or the mass in the neck, and that kind of determines how aggressive we get with regards to managing the mass.
Now, you mentioned that there's all kinds of risk factors of parents, but environmental risk factors as well.
Absolutely. We are in an endemic area all around the Great Lakes for thyroid problems. And that's something that's been put into our genetic code over the years because of iodine deficiencies in the soil. So a lot of that has been eliminated over the years since the 1920s with the use of iodinized salt. So most people, if they get adequate salt in their diet and it contains iodine, they're getting adequate iodine in their diet. But there are still areas, and particularly areas like we're in right now, in the Dover, New Philly area, where maybe people aren't getting a proper amount of iodine. And with the iodine deficiencies in the soil, you'll see a lot of people walking around with goiters. And a lot of times when people have goiters, you'll tend to see goiters in the family. It tends to be a genetic thing with very high penetrance, which means you'll see it in every generation. Other risk factors include radiation exposure. It used to be years ago they would treat acne, they would treat other types of things with external beam radiation, and even now people will get radiation for cancers of the chest, lymphomas, those type of things, and that is a risk factor for development of thyroid cancer. They had a huge outbreak of thyroid cancer in Russia with the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown. So nuclear exposures can cause a lot of change in the thyroid and create thyroid cancers and those type of things.
And is there a screening? What do you do?
The most important thing is an exam. You take a look at the patient, you find out, take a good history, find out the things that have been bothering the patient, how the thyroid looks, how it feels, what type of masses or nodules might be there. And then, there's a battery of laboratory tests that can be obtained to figure out how well the thyroid is functioning.
And then how do you treat it?
It depends. Overactive thyroid, you want to cool it down. You want to bring it down. So there's medications that can be used to help convert some of the active thyroid hormone in the system and help cool that down. If the thyroid is underactive, then you supplement the patient with thyroid hormone. If the patient has no iodine in their diet, you sometimes will get them on iodine drops and those type of things. Obviously, if the patient has a mass, then what you have to do is go through a workup, a standard workup for the mass, which could include needle aspirations or even surgery.
And does that make your patients kind of nervous, thinking, I'm going to die, or it's something that's non-fatal?
Thyroid cancers have the whole spectrum of activity with regards to malignancy. The overwhelming majority of thyroid cancers are relatively easy to control and are almost 100% curable just by removing the thyroid alone. But at the other end of the spectrum, there are some very aggressive thyroid cancers. Some of the most aggressive cancers known to man are thyroid cancers, but luckily they're very, very rare.
And if you remove a thyroid, how does that affect metabolism and everything else it does?
You have to replace that hormone. So if the thyroid is removed or if the thyroid is underactive, then that hormone has to be replaced. If the hormone doesn't get replaced, you will not feel good.
You will not feel good, just like that.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any questions about your thyroid or your family history, you should definitely talk to your doctor.
Absolutely. We work a lot with the endocrinologists in town who are gland specialists, your family doctor, your internal medicine doctor. All those doctors are doctors who can take care of your thyroid for you. If it gets to the level where surgical intervention is necessary, that's when you come and see me.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, Dr. Charles Bogdan. He is a head and neck surgeon here at Ohio Head and Neck Surgeons in Dover. And for Medical Minutes, I'm Jennifer Clark.
WJER and TV2 would like to introduce you to a new website, WJERTV2.com, where you can watch exciting high school football, soccer, and volleyball replays from TV2 Sports on your home computer, smartphone, or tablet. Also watch the latest episodes of TV2's original programming, Sports Talk, The Garden Girl, The Not So Shy Chef, Off the Record, and Medical Minutes, as well as catch up on local community news and search for local businesses. So make sure to check out the new WJERTV2.com community website where everything's local.
Searching for quality bottled water? Call Crystal Springs Water Company. Crystal Springs Water is a family-owned and operated company that's been proudly serving the community since 1986. Crystal Springs offers a quality bottled water in a variety of sizes to suit your everyday needs. They also carry a selection of water coolers, cups, bottle racks, hydro pumps, and premium water softening salts. All available for pickup or delivery. Call Crystal Springs Water Company today.
I'm John Maselli, and I would like to welcome you to the Sunnyside Store restaurant. Since 1999, we have served over 500,000 meals. We specialize in steak, pasta, and the patron special, ribs. The Sunnyside Store is located at 5495 North Worcester Avenue in Parral. Hours are Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday, we open at 9 a.m. for breakfast. For more information or to schedule an event in the banquet room for groups of 40 or smaller, call 330-364-5474. This is John Maselli inviting you to the Sunnyside Store restaurant.
Welcome to Medical Minutes here on DMG TV2 with Time Warner Cable. This time around, we are at Union Hospital's Sleep Center in Dover, and the Sleep Center manager is with us, Alan Corbett. And Alan, tell us a little bit about the Sleep Center. It's during the daytime that we're here right now, but when I think sleep, I think nighttime. What do you do here?
We test patients that have sleep disorders. We opened our sleep center at the hospital back in '96, and in 2009, we opened this facility here at the Oxford building. And
Well, how many rooms are in here?
we have 4 rooms, okay, and we test, so we can test up to 4 patients per night. With the sleep disorders that we're looking for, there's obstructive sleep apnea, there's central sleep apnea, there's restless leg syndrome, and so those are the types of disorders that we're looking for.
And when we say sleep apnea, we've done segments on Medical Minutes before about it, but remind us, what is sleep apnea?
Well, there's two kinds. There's central sleep apnea, which is neurological, and then there is obstructive sleep apnea, which is physiological. And that is what we mostly see. Probably about 90% of our business deals with obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea is essentially your tongue falling back in your throat, blocking your airway, preventing you from breathing, and this happens constantly through the night, hundreds of times through the night, preventing you from getting a good night's sleep.
So do you wake up 100 times a night?
You don't know it, but yes, your body does. Your body's waking you up, telling you that, hey, I can't breathe, I'm not getting any oxygen, wake up. So you'll wake up and immediately you fall back asleep, and the process just continues over and over throughout the night. And then in the morning, you wake up, you don't feel very good, and by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're absolutely exhausted because your body didn't get the rest that it needed, and you just want to take a nap because you're tired.
Now, what about restless leg syndrome? Obviously, you're twitching all night long.
Yes. Actually, that occurs before you fall asleep. Restless leg, it's like an achy, like your skin is crawling, and you may be laying in bed awake and you're constantly moving your legs because your legs, you just can't get comfortable. That is restless leg syndrome. That can be treated by a physician in a different manner than what we most generally do here with CPAP titrations, things like that.
Okay.
But we can diagnose this and determine if that's an issue.
So sleep apnea, you really don't know what's going on, and you're just really, really tired. Do you need to be referred here to the sleep center by your physician, correct?
That is correct. And generally it is actually diagnosed by your bed partner, whoever your significant other is. They're elbowing you, hey, wake up, or they're waking you up or whatnot. So yes, you need to see your primary care physician. If you're, like I said, you don't know what's going on, but your significant other does. They can tell if you're not breathing. They can hear you snorting and waking up constantly through the night. Snoring is a big issue with obstructive sleep apnea. So if you have those symptoms and it's bothering your significant other, see your doctor. Your doctor will then refer you to the sleep center, that's where we begin the testing.
And you have a diagnostic test as well as a follow-up, right?
That is correct. When you first come in, your initial study will be a polysomnography test, which is a basic sleep study. That is to determine what kind of problem you have, such as obstructive sleep apnea. Once we get that diagnosis, then you come in for a second night for a CPAP titration, where we use a machine with a mask interface that goes on your face. You sleep through the night. We're able to titrate the pressures to keep the tongue off the back of your throat so you can get a peaceful night's sleep.
Even though you're not in your own bed, you're here.
That is correct.
And you have different electrodes hooked up to you.
You got a lot of electrodes hooked up to you. So yes, you got it all over your head, your arms, legs, chest belts. So we are looking at brainwave and activity, muscle movement, okay, chest rise and airflow. So we can determine all those things. We have a control room. These are hooked up to you. It's going to a computerized PC where we are monitoring your brain waves, okay, and your pulse oximetry, heart rate, EKG, all these things, so we can collect this data. Then during the day, we have a day shift technician who condenses that 6 to 8 hours of information down to one little format so the physician can read it, okay? Then they can get the diagnosis and get you in here for a second night of testing with a CPAP machine.
Now, with all those things hooked up to you and people, observing you, how do you get any sleep?
Well, you would think that with all that hooked up to you, you wouldn't be able to sleep, but people do, and on the rare occasions they don't, we ask them ahead of time, if you feel that you're not going to be able to sleep with all this equipment on you, ask your doctor for a one-time prescription of a sleep aid to help you to sleep. But we rarely do, But like I said, you would think that it would bother you, but it really doesn't.
And all of it's important for all that information. So when you come back, what happens?
You still get hooked up just like before, okay? But we're using a machine to help you breathe now, to get that pressure that you need to keep the tongue off your throat so you get a good night's sleep. That's what the second night of testing is. The first night of testing is to get the diagnosis. The second night is to titrate the pressure with the CPAP machine. After the second night, once we determine those pressures, your doctor will refer you to a DME company who will supply you with the equipment that you need. You set up at home, and you just go from there.
So every patient here has a successful outcome.
I wouldn't say everyone, because a lot of people after they've, they just cannot tolerate the mask on their face, or they just don't like it, so they just quit using it. Patients have to be committed to it, and it doesn't happen overnight. It does take a couple weeks for you to get used to sleeping with a mask on your face. But when you do realize that it has improved your life. So your quality of life, because you're not waking up with morning headaches anymore. You're not tired in the afternoon. You're able to be more productive at work and at home. So it's CPAP is the number one way to treat obstructive sleep apnea.
All right, and again, talk to your doctor if you're tired, or if your family says, hey, you're up all night long.
You're snoring all night long. I know you stopped breathing. You're waking up gasping all through the night. Those are classic symptoms of obstructive sleep apnea.
All right, very good. Alan Corbett, he is the manager here at the Union Hospital Sleep Center in Dover. Thanks for being on Medical Minutes.
Thank you.
Myers & Miller Podiatry provides complete foot and ankle care to patients of all ages. The practice was established in 2000 by Dr. Adam Myers and has grown to include Dr. Andy Miller in 2007 and most recently Dr. Jason Backage in 2010. Our core values of respect and honesty are the basis for how we manage our practice, and we have grown by building relationships with our patients in order to better serve their needs. Myers & Miller Podiatry serves Tuscarawas and Holmes County with offices in Dover, Sugar Creek, Newcomerstown, and Millersburg. Let's get started building our relationship.
Hi, I'm 1450 WJER's Bill Morgan, inviting you to join me on television Wednesday evenings at 7 and Friday afternoons at 5 for TV2 Sports Talk. Sports Talk is your weekly look inside high school football, volleyball, soccer, and more. Look for guest appearances from your favorite area coaches and players. TV2 Sports Talk, Wednesday evenings at 7 and Friday afternoons at 5 on DMG Channel 2 on Time Warner Cable.